Should ask. Sadly, none. See, NASA funded the Titan Astrobase project because conditions seemed ripe for primordial life to form in Titan's methane pools. They tested many different sites, performed deep core ice drilling, and more, yet nothing turned up. Well, NASA defunded the xenobiology program in 2132, but a scientist by the name of Catherine Neely proposed research into advanced colony building on inhospitable worlds. So, by 2135, work began on what would ultimately set us all up to create habitats anywhere humans dared to explore. These very labs housed the computer systems used in that research. That and general storage for the colony. Lots of storage. You got it. On to our next stop. Next, we'll be heading outside.
Don't stay outside
make sure
for too
to
long
check
here on
those
Titan.
seals on
You'll
your
freeze
suit
solid without
because
the
it's
proper
a
protection.
bit chilly out there. We're going out into the frozen wastes of Titan to see what powers this planet. Watch your step outside, by the way. The ice can be slippery if you're not careful. The goal is to keep people out of Dr. Lakota's infirmary.
Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. Powering New Homestead. As you might imagine, generating energy was a real challenge back in the day because the technology was much more crude then. But crude or not, it was that technology that sustained the old Astrobase. And it might surprise you to learn that the same technology is still working today. The interesting thing about this old colony is that it's mostly powered by clean, renewable energy. You'll see one of the methods used on the horizon up ahead. That's right, New Homestead's famous wind farms. This spot was chosen for the colony in part because of its constant winds. These turbines have been integral to the colony's function since its establishment as a cheap, mostly reliable source of electricity. So, let's talk about wind power, shall we? Mostly. I'm sure you've noticed the occasional brownouts. I guess these old machines have a habit of freezing up, what with all the ice out here. There's some methane on reserve for critical life support systems, but everything else here is otherwise powered by the units you see here. You're looking at a piece of history. Sure, wind power is used throughout the galaxy, but these people were able to make do with it for hundreds of years. It's impressive that was all they had back then, and still make it work to this day. You're right. Most surface wind on Titan isn't too terribly strong, but here, the altitude and other conditions are perfect for sustained wind power. Like many worlds with atmosphere, the higher you go, the windier it gets. You're the boss. Let's go. Moving right along, we're going to learn about Titan's great natural resources. Titan is rich with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Surely you saw huge pools of the stuff on your descent into New Homestead. I like to think they add to the natural beauty of this world. Of course, stay away from them because, like anything beautiful, they can be dangerous. Just like my last ex-wife's pet. She And this gorgeous, I don't know what you'd call it, creature. The guy that sold it to her couldn't tell her what it was or where it was from. I don't think it was even a legal sell, to be honest. The thing was very easy on the eyes. Feathers, all the colors of the rainbow. Nasty bite, though. Wound up in the hospital and almost lost my hand. Still not enough for her to get rid of the dang thing. Anyway, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. But enough about me. We were talking about methane and other resources, right? Hey, can you believe it? Back in the 20th century on Earth, they used to fight wars over natural resources like this and petroleum. They had this whole moon here basically made of hydrocarbons in their own backyard. They just couldn't get to it. Incredible how far we've come. New Homestead is home to one of the oldest and largest methane processing plants in the settled systems. Every year, UC engineers go through a painstaking, month-long maintenance process. That's how this place has remained operational as long as it has. I'm not going to take you too close to the machinery, liability and all, but I can still answer questions. Questions? Fire away! Exports mostly, since this world is so methane-rich and has the infrastructure for it, a lot of the UC's methane comes from Titan. Of course, new homesteaders use it themselves for everything from generating heat to turning it into breathable oxygen via modern science. Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Something to do with methane-eating microbes, I believe? I honestly don't know. Sorry. It's not as if they shut down for a month. It's not shut down at all, actually. See, this place is built with redundant systems, so they can shut it down piece by piece and suffer only a reduction in throughput. During that time, the UC gets more of its resources from other places, allowing New Homestead to maintain what it needs. Okie dokie, artichokey. There will be time for more later anyway. So, this next stop is a bit of an interesting one. I only recently made it part of the tour. Fun fact, it's also the only natural landmark on the tour. What we're about to see is a glacial spire we affectionately call Ymir's Horn. This colus used to be named after a character in a popular fantasy novel, but it was changed a couple hundred years ago to avoid any potential litigation. Now, what's a colus, you might say? Colus derives from the Latin word for hill, and scientists only gave names to groups of hills on a planet's surface. So in reality, the term you hear more often is the plural, coles, with an E. You probably don't hear it very often where you're from, because it was usually a term reserved for unexplored planets, back when they didn't have the technology to describe what they were seeing firsthand. Because of that, the term is much more common in the Sol system, but you may still hear it occasionally in reference to uncharted worlds. This planet's full of them, though, and they like to preserve that history here. So here it is, Ymir's Horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like. I've heard this particular formation was caused by an ancient volcano. Something about steam and wind, then worn down over time. But I'm not 100% sure. According to ancient Norse mythology, Ymir was the first Jotun, a frost giant. In the legend, they were both male and female and gave birth to the progenitors of all giants from their armpits. Ymir even predated the Norse gods, who, as it turns out, killed Ymir to fashion the Earth and all of humanity from the corpse. It's a fascinating story, and the horn here is a fitting tribute to it. Just be careful! It can get slippery out that way. I'll wait here.
If you need medical attention, see Dr. Lakota. But a word of warning, she really doesn't care for tourists.
We used to get more tourists than we do these days.
That tour guide showed one of the kids a picture of some silly drawing he saw in Sidonia.
Careful, there are some dangerous areas around here that are not part of any...
Those folks in Sidonia may be closer to Earth, but we do a better job preserving its traditions.
You get used to the methane processing smell after a while.
So here it is, Emir's Horn. You're free to take a close... Excellent! On to the next stop then! So, we're gonna head back inside, through the methane processing plant. Try not to touch anything on your way. We want to make sure to respect Dr. Lakota's wishes to be safer around here. Ah, that brings me to another point. You'll notice the people around here have last names related to where their families originated from on Earth, as a way to remember the past. The museum curator, Maurice Leon, has more information about that if you're interested. You can find him inside the main concourse. Loves talking about it. You'll find most of the locals here are very friendly to tourists like yourself. Tourism is a major draw to this colony these days, and I respect that. Most of them are happy to talk at length about what they do here. Their rugged lifestyle is a point of pride for a lot of these folks.
I don't mind the tourists. They help the local economy.
This area we're walking through is the nerve center of the plant, where technicians keep an eye on the operation. Since methane production is such an important part of the colony's livelihood, it's important that the techs notice any issues and react to them quickly. Anyway, we're headed into the ice mines. It's a natural spring where water bubbles up from deep below, but due to the cold, it keeps freezing as it reaches the surface. You're welcome to keep your...
Hello?
What else can I tell you about the ice mines? Not all. Some water is created as a byproduct of methane processing, but that's usually saved in the emergency reserves. Good question. I believe it has something to do with not wanting to contaminate the water with methane and other chemicals. The ice helps prevent impurities in the water. At least this is what I've been told. I wouldn't recommend it. First, it's an active work site. Second, it still needs to be filtered and checked for contaminants. But don't worry, we'll stop somewhere for refreshments before the tour is over. Sounds good. Let's keep going then. We have just one more stop before we're done with the tour, and it just happens to be my favorite.
It must be difficult trying to survive when this collection of shipping containers is all you have for permanent accommodations.
Scientists and workers when the underground was built, but it's been operated by the same family ever since. Now, what's a horse, you might say? They were a large four-legged animal on Earth, often used for transportation or manual labor. Long before space travel was even a dream for the folks of Earth, even before antique machines like automobiles were possible, horses could be found everywhere. You might have seen them in old movies or read about them somewhere. If not, I highly recommend looking into them sometime. They're beautiful animals. The tavern's original owner was infatuated with them, from what I understand, and named the place in their honor. The moniker, Brown Horse Tavern, is also a throwback to names of similar Earth restaurants hundreds of years before it was established. That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the Brown Horse? Easy. All the other ones fell to ruin when we abandoned Earth. There were technically older ones on Mars, but those have long since shuttered or been replaced. Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly love everything Anya serves here. I'd be doing her a disservice to recommend one dish over another. You want the real answer? Order one of everything. Anya Seattle is the current owner of the Brown Horse. It's been in the Seattle family for generations. But Anya will be able to tell you more herself. Feel free to ask her. It doesn't feel right coming from me when she's standing right over there. Okay then. All right, we're headed to the last stop. Right back where we began. Feel free to check out the museum exhibit in the main concourse here. These displays are full of rare Earth trinkets salvaged from before humanity left, and Maurice is happy to talk about the collection. The museum's curator, Maurice, will be happy to talk to you if you want to know more.
We used to get more tourists than we do these days.
Well, that's that! I hope you enjoyed Starsap Tours as much as I enjoy giving them. Oh, wow. I really appreciate it. You know, I rely on tips from good people like you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the rest of your stay in New Homestead.
Wow, very generous. As long as you're throwing around money, maybe you wouldn't mind tossing some my way.
Take care!
Oh, I can't imagine living here. These people sure are
I
hardy.
still can't believe people actually live like this.
We take vandalism seriously here. You don't mess with history.
There are times I envy those who are able to travel like you.
Ice mining operations are unusual, but if they're run properly, they can prove to be quite lucrative.
I'm dying for something to do, boss. Am I being reassigned somewhere? Some other time, then.
Lots of history here, if you're into that sort of thing.
Off-worlders always ask how I can live here. I wonder how they can live anywhere else.
You're going to be carrying that gooey mess, right?
Oh, the tourist. I hated that.
Well, Joyce says she's on it. Something about the
Did you know
turbines
the
freezing up
museum
again.
here is full of old
Joyce
Earth
is great at what
artifacts?
she does. I'm
Cool,
sure
huh?
she'll handle it.
It would be nice to get off. World sometime.
It's a little weird that people come here to see what early colony life was like. To me, it's just how we live.
Pull up a seat. I'll take care of you. Welcome. I'm Anya. Is this your first time with us at the Brown Horse Tavern? Oh, well, thank you for joining us. You're in for a real treat. We've got an assortment of food and drinks, some of which follow homemade recipes that have been passed down over hundreds of years. So, what can I do for you? Let me show you what we have. Oh, hardly. The locals pretty much stay away from chunks, so whenever they don't feel like cooking themselves and want a fresh meal, they come to me. Only the tourists eat that junk. But don't tell that to my husband. He manages the chunks. I love him, but he's a bit of a fanatic about it. You mean the Brown Horse? Well, it's only the longest continuous running restaurant since humans started settling outside of Earth. There's a lot of history within these walls, and some damn fine food and drink, if I say so myself. This place has been in my family for generations. My however many, great-grandmother opened it when the first colony started on Titan. Back then, it was a simple mess hall that she chose to put a little extra love and flavor into. And now, it's the pride of New Homestead.
So then I told him
Hope you'll be back
that
sometime.
we churn our own butter. He completely bought it.
You didn't.
I did. I know I shouldn't have, but I just wanted to see how they'd react.
But aren't they going to think we're even more old-fashioned than they already believe?
That's a good point.
Boy, am I glad they have a chunks here.
Welcome to New Homestead.
I still can't believe people actually live like this.
If you take one of... Do you need medical assistance? I don't. They make a mockery of New Homestead culture. And on top of it, they're reckless. It's like I said before, I feel like I'm treating them more often than our own people. Actually, maybe there is. I have an idea that may be best suited for someone relatively unknown. Instead of myself. I've got a mountain of work and a reputation to maintain. So I bought a realistic monster costume. The plan was to wear it, scare tourists away, and start a rumor about terrible creatures living on Titan. I figure that once word gets around, tourism will take enough of a dive to give me some relief. Maybe, I'm not sure. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't have any other ideas. The tourism board flat out won't help me, and I don't have money in the budget to hire additional help. And you know these tourists will believe anything they see and hear. I think it's worth a shot. Worst case scenario, I'm back to square one. That's the spirit. To be honest, I'm not sure it'll work either, but I feel like there's no harm in trying. Here's the costume. I think this will work best on the surface, so just find a group and run up to them, acting like a convincing alien monster. With any luck, they'll run screaming and book the next flight out of here. Did you scare off those tourists yet? It's a harsh world, but as long as you're inside or wear a suit when going out, you'll be fine here. There's no breathable air on the surface, and you'll quickly freeze to death outside without protective gear, but otherwise the hazards are minimal. New Homestead was an early colony research base and has stood the test of time. It's safe, and it's proof that people can live pretty much anywhere. Don't worry so much. I bought it from a private seller. They said they got it from someone who wore it in a secondary school as their sports team mascot. I guess it was supposed to be a tardigrade or something. Anyway, the person I bought it from modified it a bit so they could use it in an independent movie they were making. But I guess that went nowhere, so they had to sell it. Lucky me, I suppose. Even though we don't have shiny new medical facilities, I imagine it's easier than wherever you're from. We have fewer people here, and we're very responsible when it comes to our personal health and welfare. So there's not much I can't handle. For anything else, we can get access to off-world specialists. Contrary to popular belief, we're not primitive. Try to be careful out there.
I kind of want to try food from that Junk's place, but my papa says it's just a bunch of junk food for tourists.
Must be nice to be able to afford to travel, huh? You off-worlders have it made. Oh, you don't really want to talk to me. I'm just a nobody from the crates. Besides, I'm not really good at talking to tourists about New Homestead. If you're really interested in our history, talk to Maurice. He's a lot better at that than I am. See you around, maybe.